الحمد لله قاصم الجبارين مبين الظالمين مدرك الحاربين والصلاة والسلام وتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي اسمه في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين المظلومين ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وقتليهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكري فضائلهم ملعونين. أما بعد، عن حسين بن علي عليهم السلام: كأن الدنيا لم تكن وكأن الآخرة لم تزل. For the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Maziyah, for the enlightenment of the graves of your Marhumeen and of the graves of the Shahada and Siddiqeen, for the hastening and the safety of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam Arwahun al-Fida, and for the safety of the Azadars of Sayyid al-Shahada, please recite aloud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Praise be to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is Rahman and the one who is Rahim, the most beneficent and the most merciful. And the greatest mercy that He has bestowed upon us is the love of Ahlul Bayt. That love that has brought us here and has brought us for the last 8 nights and will continue to bring us until the 12th. And then the dua is that inshallah even after the 12th we will continue to grace the Imam Bargah with our presence and be able to benefit from the Imam Bargah and the spiritual atmosphere and the spiritual upliftment that one can only gain from the ibadat of Allah or the azadari of the Ahlul Bayt. Although really there isn't much distinction, because their azadari, their remembrance, their masa'ib, their ram, their fada'il are all ibadat. But this is something we can bear in mind and inshallah take it forward and bring that change this year. Like I said in my first Majalis, make this year that change, that when next year whoever comes and sits here and we get that time to reassess, we can turn around and say, yes, I made this change in my life, I made this change in my life. I became a regular attender of the masjid, I became a regular attender of the namaz al-Jum'ah, I became a regular attender to the majlises, I grew a beard, I started praying on time. Different things that we can say that are there in order to allow us to become closer towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Over the last few nights we've been discussing the deviations that led to Karbala. We've looked at the spiritual ones, we've looked at the social ones. We've looked at the reason for why the people forgot Amir al-Mu'mineen, or forgetting Amir al-Mu'mineen as a reason for Karbala, forgetting Hazrat Zahra as a reason for Karbala, forgetting Ghadir as a reason for Karbala, forgetting the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet as a reason for Karbala, increasing the deviations, the bid'ah in society as a reason for Karbala. And then we moved on to the spiritual aspects that were present in the army of Imam, that were not present in the army of Yazid, in the hope that we can assess our lives and remove these aspects. One of those aspects was that the army of Yazid had forgotten the dhikr of Allah. Imam Hussein alayhi salam says to them, you have forgotten the dhikr of Allah, and as a result, istahwala alaykum ash-shaytan, shaytan has overpowered you. One reason. The second reason was hypocrisy, that they said one thing but they did another, and we assessed those things that caused hypocrisy, or those signs of a hypocrite, and inshallah we're able to remember them and Try and remove them from our lives. Then we discussed the concept of fear, and what fear was good and what fear was bad. The good fear is the one that brought about courage in a person, such that Abis ibn Shabib stands in front of the army of Yazid, takes off his armor and he says, I'm not afraid, come and attack me. And what does Umar ibn Sa'ad say? He says, no one go and attack him, because he will kill you all if you all go to attack him. He has no fear. Instead, encircle him and stone him. And this is how they killed Abis ibn Shabib. The fear of Allah inspires that courage. The bad fear was that sadness, that depression that a person feels when he loses something of this dunya, or something in this dunya for him is not going well, and so he becomes upset, he becomes depressed, he loses hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then yesterday we spoke about determination. It was that determination that was in the army of Abu Abdullah that enabled them to stand by their Imam even though they knew that death was imminent. Imam says to them on the 9th of Muharram, leave me, leave me. You will die tomorrow if you stay with me. Leave me, go back to your homes. He extinguishes the candle and he says, go back. When he turns the candle on, he relights the candle, all of them are sitting there with tears in their eyes, saying that, oh Abu Abdullah, if it was the case that we were killed 70 times, and 70 times we were cut to pieces, and 70 times we were set alight, those pieces were set alight, and then the dust of those pieces was scattered into the air, we will never leave you, O Imam. That determination, because they had accepted. And then on the other side was the lack of determination to accept the Imam. That we spoke about the person who moved from one party to another, who's there with the Holy Prophet in the Ghadir. Then he went with the people of Saqifa. Then after that he went to Amir al-Mu'mineen. And then he went to Muawiyah, then to Yazid, then to Ibn Ziyad's army. Then from Ibn Ziyad's army he joined Mukhtar's army in order to find those that had killed Abu Abdullah. When he saw that Mukhtar was not gaining any sort of momentum, or his momentum had stopped, he joined Ibn Zubayr. That's that lack of determination. And that's something we need to make, that determination within ourselves strong, such that we don't come for short spurts and say yes, we'll come all the time, and then we just sort of drain ourselves out, and then we don't come to the masjid until the next year. And then again those 10 or 12 days of all the energy, and then we go back to our normal lives and the masjid remains closed. That determination to change, to progress towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We also touched upon the importance of Jum'ah as well, and the importance of Salatul Jum'ah, coming to the masjid and establishing Namaz Jum'ah. What is the point of everything that we do in these 10 days if we can't establish namaz? They go hand in hand. I said on my first day, or the second night, they're hand in hand. There is no differentiation. All ibadats are the same. A person can't say that I'm not going to fast but I'll pray 1,000 rakats a night. No, because if you don't fast you're going to hell. The same way, having this love of Ahlul Bayt, this tawalla and the tabarra against the enemies of Ahlul Bayt, seeking distance from the enemies of Ahlul Bayt, this is all equal. And then within them falls the concept of azar. No one can take one thing and disregard another. They have to go hand in hand. And today I want to maybe look slightly deeper into that saying of Imam the final letter that Imam writes from Karbala to his brother Muhammad Hanafiya. It's the final letter, and I talked about it yesterday, very short. He says to his brother, كَأَنَّ الدُّنْيَا لَمْ تَكُنْ وَكَأَنَّ الْآخِرَةَ لَمْ تَدَلْ. That, oh my brother, know that the dunya shall be destroyed, and the akhirah shall never perish. Remember that it will never perish, and it will always remain. And that's the thing that we often forget. When I say we, I, talking to myself first, often forget. You do an action, and sometimes you think, oh, Mr. Namaz, it's okay, it's, you know, when I get older I'll change, and all of these things, but that time never comes, and then bad habits become habits, and it becomes normal for me, and then those sins that I'm committing, they become second nature, and then I start justifying the sin. I start justifying the sin for everyone around me. You know, I don't do this because of this. You can all think of various examples. I don't grow a beard because it itches. You know, that's why I shave it. There are hundreds of other examples that you can think where people try and justify something, whereas there's no justification from it. From hadith, from Quran, from all the ulama. There are no justifications for the sins that we commit. If we want to change, then we will. If we don't, then we won't. But before I go a bit more into depth, because I also want to finish off that hadith of Amir al-Mu'mineen which I started yesterday. I mentioned the one part from the ayahs of Najwa where Amir al-Mu'mineen says, I am the only person that acted upon this ayah. No one else has the claim that they acted upon this ayah of Najwa. And I'll come to that. But before that, I was handed 2 questions yesterday, so I thought I'd answer them today, as tomorrow is will be more masa'ib, and so we'll try and answer these today. The first question that was given was, why is it that the Ahl Sunnah deem it necessary to fast on the day of Ashura? They say they have a hadith in Bukhari, hadith number 1865, and in Muslim, that the Holy Prophet of Islam one day was walking through the area where the Jews were, and he started speaking to a Jew, and the Jew, they found out in conversation that the Jews were fasting. And the Holy Prophet said, why are you fasting on this day? It was the 10th of Muharram. And they said, because Musa used to fast on this day. And so the Holy Prophet of Islam replied, according to the hadith, he replied that, well, we have more right over Musa than you, so I now order the Ummah to fast on this day. The main basis for that fasting is this. We cannot accept that. No, there's a number of problems that we would have with such a riwayat. Number one, we do not believe in a prophet that was educated by normal man or given knowledge by normal man. We believe in a prophet that came with all the knowledge direct from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We do not believe in a prophet that forgot. We do not believe in a prophet that made mistakes. We do not believe in a prophet that made sins. Hence, regardless of Muslim or non-Muslim, or whether he was a companion or not a companion, anyone who corrected the Holy Prophet, we do not accept it, because the Holy Prophet was not an entity to be corrected. He was perfect. Everything came from him as per the ayat of the Quran through wahi. Every action he did, every word he spoke was wahi of Allah. And logically, if we look at it, if a prophet of God is being taught by man how to do something, or is being reminded, then does that person remain capable of being a leader still? You have teachers, you have people who have children. For example, you have a physics teacher. And you know that the physics teacher doesn't know the basis of some of the basics of physics, and people have to keep on correcting him. When you see it once, twice, thrice, Will you send your children to that person to learn? No. The Prophet of Allah is the perfect role model that has come from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to guide us. He is the epitome of perfection. That perfect role model, and everything aspires towards that state of perfection. So that's the first question. The second question that was handed to me is taqleed, and what is its importance? Something that comes up every year, and it seems to be that we're struggling with it as well. Taqleed. We have so many ahadith from our imams. In fact, I'll give you one of the strongest ones that we have, and it's narrated by the 6th Imam, and also it's narrated by the 11th Imam as saying that he says, if there is anyone amongst you from the fuqaha, from those that are faqih, that are jurists, who is in control over his self, who protects his religion, who suppresses his evil desire, who obeys the command of his master, then the people should follow him. And yuqallidu, they should do taqleed of him. Very simple, straightforward hadith of the Imams. I've spoken about it last year as well, and it's not really, I don't think there's much of a debate here. And in fact, just to cement that, there's an extract from the letter of the Imam of our time, Imam al-Mahdi, in his letter to Ishaq ibn Ya'qub. And this is before Imam enters into Ghaybatul Kubra, the greater occultation. And the Imam says at that point, because the question that is posed by Ishaq is that what will happen now? Who will we gain our knowledge from? How do we differentiate rulings of the deen? How do we extract rulings of the deen? And the Imam says, as for new issues, you should turn for guidance from the narrators of hadith, the muhaddithin. When we go back previously to previous Imams, from the 11th, 10th, 9th, and some from the 8th Imam, we find that the muhaddithin have been also known as the fuqaha. They have been explained as being the fuqaha. So when the Imam says the muhaddithin, those that narrate hadith, he means the jurists, those that derive rulings from Quran, hadith, sunnah and aql, and ijma'. So the Imam says, as for new issues, you should turn to them for guidance, the narrators of the hadith, for they are my proof over you, and I am the proof of Allah upon the earth. It's pretty straightforward. The Imam is saying here categorically that turn to the fuqaha, to the marjas of our time, the marja taqleeds of our time. It's quite a basic, quite a straightforward command of the Imam. How am I going to follow him when he comes, when I can't obey simple commands that he gives at this time, in the time of his ghaibah? An example I just gave over at the other center was that many of the army of Yazid had disobeyed their Imam. They had disobeyed the Imam of the time from the time of the death of the Holy Prophet. They had turned away from the Imam and walked upon the path of Saqifa or other things. And they disobeyed the Imam. 50 years later, they stand in front of the Imam of their time at that time and they're ready to kill him. 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years of disobeying the command of my Imam, which is pretty straightforward. How can I be so sure that I'll be ready to fight when my Imam reappears? How can I be so sure that I won't be the one that will oppose him? So I think that's pretty straightforward. If there's any other questions, I'll try and answer them, and inshallah people can come and speak to me afterwards. I'm here tonight. And then inshallah tomorrow we have the question and answer for most of the night as well. Please recite Salat. I want to continue on from the hadith of Najwa, which we get from the one who sat on the minbar and said, Saluni, Saluni. Come and ask me, come and ask me. I know the ways of the heavens more than of the earth. Come and ask me before you leave me. And many people throughout history would come and they would try this. And you'll find in the tafsir of Nahj al-Balagha by Ibn Abil Hadid, he narrates a number of these people that came after Imam Ali, and in order to compare themselves with Imam Ali alayhi salam, they started saying Saluni, Saluni. One person is during the time of the 9th Imam, Imam al-Hadi. When the Khalifa calls everyone together, this person gets up on the minbar and he says, Saluni, Saluni. Someone come and ask me a question, ask me whatever you will. Ask me what you wish, I'll give you the answer. As Amir al-Mu'mineen did, but this person is not from Ahlul Bayt. He mounts the minbar and he begins to say, ask me, ask me. A lady, a lover of the Ahlul Bayt, a Shia of Ali, a female, she comes forward. She says, I have a question for you. We know through hadith and riwayat that Hazrat Adam did Hajj. But tell me, who shaved the head of Adam? This man who just said Saluni. She said, who shaved the head of Adam? He doesn't know the answer. So he said, who sent you here? Have you come here with the permission of your husband? She says, what does that have to do with the case? He says, because if you have come here without the permission of your husband, lanat on you, curse upon you. And if you've come with his permission, then curse upon him. And she says, okay, I'll tell you whether or not I've come with the permission of my husband, if you will tell me whether the wife of the Prophet had his permission to go into Jamal. Straight away, this man, he took his abba, he placed it over his head like a hijab, and he walked out of the room. The Khalifa says, well, can anyone answer the question? Everyone looks at the warith Saluni. Everyone looks at the inheritor of the ilm. They look towards Imam al-Hadi. They say, can you answer this question? He says, the answer is very simple. When Adam had completed his Hajj, Jibreel descended with a yaqut, with a ruby from heaven. He passed it over the head of Adam, and wherever the hair of Adam began to fall, that became the haram. This is the people, the Ahlul Bayt that we follow. This is their level. These are the Imams. So the people tried to compare themselves to them, but yet they could not. Understand your status as a lover of Abu Abdullah, as a lover of Ahlul Bayt. Do not sell yourselves short. The Ahlul Bayt were the ones that came and gave ilm to the world. And it is my duty as one that claims to be their follower, their lover, to go and seek that ilm wherever. So the hadith from Amir al-Mu'mineen says, I'm the only one that acted upon these ayats from Surah Mujadila, ayah, can you remember? 12 and 13. Ayah 12 and 13, known as the ayahs of Najwa. I just recited it yesterday, come on. Ayahs of Najwa. MashaAllah. I know you all knew, you were just shy. So the ayahs of Najwa is what happened is that people would come to the Holy Prophet of Islam, whisper in his ear, take up all his time asking questions, go to his house, sit there till late at night, and till the ayahs were revealed to leave the Prophet. He needs to worship. At this particular time, the people were coming and whispering questions in his ear and asking him. And the ayah descended, if you want to ask the Holy Prophet a question, then you must give 1 dirham sadaqah. Everyone disappeared. Except for Amir al-Mu'mineen. He took a dinar, got change from it, got 10 dirhams. He came 10 times to Rasulullah to ask 10 questions. And what were those questions? They were not for Amir al-Mu'mineen. They were for us. and how we implement these into our life. The first question that he asked Imam, which I gave to you yesterday, was Mal Wafa, what is loyalty? The Holy Prophet of Islam turned around and said that loyalty is saying La ilaha illallah and acting upon it. I gave examples of it yesterday, I don't need to go into that. The second question that he asked the Holy Prophet, he gave a dirham in sadaqah, came to the Holy Prophet. Mal fasad, what is fasad? What causes fasad? The Prophet said, al-kufr wal-shirk billah, that disbelief in Allah and ascribing partners to Him. Now there are different types of shirk. You know, the disbelief, not even believing in Him, this causes fasad, but the shirk is the interesting one. One, we have open shirk, where we try and say that Allah has a partner, has an equal, someone is equal to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah has no equal, He has no partner. Then the second one, I mean that one's a straightforward one. The second one is shirk al-khafi, the hidden shirk. This is the shirk that the ulama speak about. That the ulama of akhlaq and spirituality, they speak about this. They say this shirk is that shirk when you're doing ibadat and you start doing that ibadat for show. That becomes shirk. For example, you pray in namaz with riyah. You do lovely qira'at, long surah, so people say, MashaAllah. He's praying namaz with, you know, what a pious person. Straight away, all of that namaz is disregarded and that namaz becomes shirk. Also within namaz, you're standing there and the masters of spirituality would say that if you're standing in namaz, you're praying and in your thought comes anything ghayr Allah, other than Allah, you've committed shirk. Now how do we control that? We spoke about on the third or fourth night about controlling the imagination. And how to control the imagination and how the imagination is. In fact, I didn't say how to control it. Imam Khomeini says that controlling the imagination needs constant attention. It is like a bird, so you have to always be aware of what you're doing. And anytime your mind starts to wander, you stop it. And you bring it back and make it think in line with what you are doing. It says first 2 or 3 weeks this will be hard. After then, you'll have control of your imagination. So that's that shirk al-khafi. If I'm doing any sort of ibadat, if I'm fasting, so people say, MashaAllah, you know, he's fasting. If I'm praying Salat al-Layl and I'm telling people so that they say, MashaAllah, praying namaz, same thing. If I'm doing azadari, so people say, what a great azadar I am, this too becomes shirk. So what causes fasad? Shirk and kufr. Then Imam says, Mal haqq, what is haqq? What is truth? And the Holy Prophet says, Al-Islam wal-Quran wal-Wilaya. Quran, Islam, and the Vilayat of the Ahlul Bayt, this is what is haqq, this is what is truth. When you remove Vilayat from there, Quran and Islam become incomplete. When you add it, it becomes complete. When Imam comes to the Kufans, when Imam Hussein sends his letter to the people of Kufa, what does he say? The Imam is the person that will order and command you from the book of Allah. The Holy Prophet of Islam says, Aliyun ma'al Quran wal Quranu ma'ali. Ali is with the Quran and Quran is with Ali. That they cannot be separated and they will not be separated until they reach the pool of Kawthar. The Ahlul Bayt, I'm leaving amongst you 2 weighty things. The Ahlul Bayt and the Holy Quran. And they will not be separated until they reach the pool of Kawthar. Islam, Quran, and Wilaya. I've taken Wilaya. I've taken Islam. And sometimes as a youth, Quran gets put aside. I said maybe in these last few nights that the Quran is that thing that illuminates the heart. Every time you look at it, It will illuminate your heart. You will learn something new from it. In fact, Amirul Mu'mineen, when talking about the Holy Quran, he names 42 qualities of the Holy Quran in his khutbah in Nahjul Balagha. That's the importance of reading the Holy Quran. There's a story, they said that there was a young man who was very pious. He tried to control his desires. He spent his time in worship and had cut himself essentially away from all sin. As he comes out of the masjid one day, a girl comes up to him to try and speak to him. She tries to speak to him. He says, please don't speak to me. You know, I'm in a state of ibadah and things. I can't speak to you. If there's anything you need to ask me, write it in a letter. Write it in a letter. So the next day a letter is delivered to him. He opens it and finds that in the letter the girl has said that I've fallen in love with you because of your piety and all of these things. So this man, this young man, pious, so at the bottom he writes an ayat of the Holy Quran. He writes an ayat. This is what it means when the Quran has entered your heart. What it means when Quran has entered your heart, that you spend your days as the slave girl of Fatima Zahra, and for years upon end you speak nothing but Quran. That is Islam, Wilayah in Quran. Fizza. You want to say Fizza? She spoke nothing but Quran. Every time they'd speak to her, she would answer back in Quran. These are people whose Quran has entered their heart. So he writes at the bottom of this letter an ayah of the Holy Quran. Ayah that talks about that God will take your soul in the day or He will take it in the night regardless. So be prepared. The reply comes from the girl that when I read this ayah, it changed my whole life. Write for me 3 or 4 more ayats that I can act upon them and change my life as well. This is courage. This is shuja'ah. This is that bravery that we talk about in regards to those that follow the path of Ahlul Bayt, those that follow the path of Islam, those that follow Quran. That when sin is presented to them, they turn away from it. But with their turning away, they attract people to Islam. How many times in my life do I water down the teachings? How many times do I think, it's only, going from work, everybody's going to the pub, and they're like, oh, come along, have an orange juice. And I think, it's only an orange juice. You can't do it. It can do harm. It's haram for you to enter that place as a lover of Ahlul Bayt, as a lover of Ali Muhammad. It should be detestable to you to even enter into that place. Even if it is to get a job promotion, forget the job promotion, forget everything. That's one side of it. Then let alone sell the thing or buy it or all of this. This is haram. Shuja'ah comes at that point when a person accepts a faith and acts upon it. This is bravery. Then the 4th question, Amir al-Mu'mineen gives another dirham. Comes to the Holy Prophet, Man najah, that, oh Holy Prophet, tell me, salvation is within which thing? And the Holy Prophet says, Tarkul hila, that salvation for you is when you stop plotting, lying, starting trouble, all of these things. Like we said yesterday, Amir al-Mu'mineen says, be like the honeybee, moves from stem to stem, but yet whichever stem it sits on, it doesn't break it. It takes what is good and gives back what is good. Takes the nectar and gives back honey to mankind. He says, be like the honeybee. That you go, you take information, you use that information and you give back only good to the people. When you sit amongst the people, you don't sit there in order to cause friction or division between the people. Because at this time, what we need more than ever is unity amongst ourselves. At this time, more than ever, we need to overlook those small things in our lives and come together and be united. So he asked the Holy Prophet, what is salvation is in what thing? The Holy Prophet replies that if you leave tarkul hila, if you leave plotting, if you leave lying, and all of these things. 5th dirham he gives in sadaqah. He says, Ma alayya, that what is my duty? And the Holy Prophet says, Ta'atullah wa rasulih, that obey Allah and the Holy Prophet. This is your duty. The 6th question, my time's running out. The 6th question, after giving the 6th dirham, the Imam asks, Kayfa ad'u Allah? How can I pray to Allah? How should I pray to Allah? Those of you who want du'as accepted, those that come with your hajat every night, those that come to the door of Abu Abdullah, those that come to the door of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. Amir al-Mu'mineen asks, how can I get my dua, or how should I pray to Allah? And the Holy Prophet says, بِالصِّدْقِ وَالْيَقِينِ, with truth and certainty. Dua Iftitah, the opening lines of Dua Iftitah, that I have certainty that you are the most merciful of people. The first step in asking for dua is that you have certainty that Allah will answer your request. Not, Ya Allah, help me with this problem, but at the back of my mind, as I said yesterday, I'm thinking of someone else that can help me. If Allah doesn't help me within a week, I know someone who can. No. Yaqeen when you ask for dua. When you have that, and be truthful. Hazrat Musa is once walking to go to Tur to converse with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he sees a young man and he's crying and he's weeping and he's wailing and he's doing dua to Allah. So when he goes to the mountain, he says, Ya Allah, I saw one of your abd, one of your slaves, crying out to you out of your fear and asking for dua. Won't you accept his dua? And Allah says, Musa, if he continued to pray to me like that until the day of Qiyamah, I will not accept. Philosophy of why a dua is not accepted. He says, Ya Allah, why? Why will you not accept his dua? He says, because Musa, when he does dua to me, bilisanin badi, he has a foul tongue. He will do dua to me now, but when he goes and converses with the people, he will converse with them, he will swear, he will be very inappropriate in his words. He will not care for what he says amongst the people. He will have a very harsh tongue. Bilisanin badi. He is addressing me bilisanin badi. Wa qalbin ghayr naqi. And he is praying to me without a clean heart. He's committed so many of these sins that now it has formed a barrier. He doesn't work on himself. One thing is that we try and work on ourselves, then ask Allah. But if at the same time we don't want to work on ourselves to purify our own souls, and then we still want to ask Allah, He won't accept the dua. It's the same way where we're praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, oh Allah, give me rizq, give me rizq, give me rizq, increase my rizq. But at the same time I'm sitting inside my home and I'm not even going out to look for a job. The first step is upon you. The third thing that Allah says to Hazrat Musa is وَنِيَّةٍ غَيْرِ صَادِقَةٍ, and he has and his intention is not truthful. Goes back to that point, I raise my hand, I say, Ya Allah, if you can help me, but at the same time, I'm thinking about someone else. Small things to implement within our lives. Amir al-Mu'mineen gives his 8th dirham to the Holy Prophet in sadaqah. And he asks, his 9th one, and he asks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that, he asks the Holy Prophet of Islam that, Ma as'alullah, what should I ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What should I ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And the Holy Prophet says, Al-Afiyah. Ask from Allah for health. Because when you have health, you can do ibadat, you can pray, you can do everything. Then the 9th question that Amir al-Mu'mineen says, what should I do to gain nijat, to gain salvation? And the Holy Prophet says, Kul halalan, eat halal, wa qul sidqa, and speak truth. Eat halal, speak truth. One of the main reasons that the army of Yazid were unable to recognize the Imam at the time, the Imam says, is because your stomach is filled with the food of haram. I explained in depth last time as to how one can fill their stomachs with the food of haram, and how we often fill our stomachs with food of haram and we don't realize that we have done so. And for us it becomes very, very normal, you know, I can work, I'm not working, or I'm working and then claiming some, you know, showing a few hours and claiming the rest as benefits. It's haram. We're lying. Has the effect on the soul, has the effect on the nafs, has the effect such that it stops a person from recognizing the Imam of their time. I'm selling alcohol, I'm buying and selling alcohol, I'm making money off that, I'm buying food with that, I'm consuming that food. Barriers straight away. I can't recognize my Imam, there's no hope. This is what happened to that army. They had all of these things within them that stopped them from being able to recognize the Imam of their time. And this is the reason that they would go and kill that youth that looked like the Holy Prophet, who acted like the Holy Prophet, who spoke like the Holy Prophet. When Ali Akbar comes to ask for permission from his father, they say that Imam Hussein alayhi salam granted him permission instantly. He gave Ali Akbar permission instantly. But as he gave him the permission, his eyes began to fill with tears. And he said that, Ali Akbar, I will prepare you myself. I will prepare you myself. He brings Ali Akbar into the tent. He places the armor on his body. He gives him the sword and all the other requirements for war. And then he says, Ali Akbar, let me wrap your amama. And how does Abu Abdullah wrap the amama of Ali Akbar? He says, my son, kneel in front of me. As Ali Akbar kneels in front of him, Abu Abdullah begins to wrap the amama, crying, Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. It comes to the time when Ali Akbar is ready. As he begins to leave the tent, Imam Hussein alayhi salam raises his hands and says, Oh Allah, bear witness that this youth who is heading towards that army is most like the Prophet of Allah in his manners, in his actions, in the way he looks. And oh Allah, whenever I wanted to do the ziyarat of my grandfather, I would look towards the face of Ali Akbar. Ali Akbar prepares himself. He mounts upon his horse and begins to ride out into the plains of Karbala. But from behind him he hears someone running, someone stumbling. As he turns around, he sees his old father, his Abu Abdullah, crying out, Mahlan, Mahla. Slowly, slowly, oh Ali Akbar, turn around, keep on turning towards me. Allow me to have a look at one last time, Ali Akbar goes out. He rides out into the battlefield. He begins to fight. Nafas al-Mahmoum narrates that he killed 120 men. But how long can a man fight for that has been thirsty for 3 days? Ali Akbar turns back to the tents. He says, he cries out to his father, Ya Abata al-Akashu qad qatalani, that, oh my father, this thirst is killing me. Is there a drop of water that I may continue to fight? How hard would it have been for Hussein? His son has come to him to request only one thing, and that is the thing that Hussein cannot give him. Abu Abdullah says, oh my son, do sabr. The Holy Prophet of Islam is waiting with water for you in Jannah. Ali Akbar goes out he rides out again to fight. He begins to fight fiercely until one man makes the intention. He says, I will kill this youth, if it is the last thing I do. He comes up behind Ali Akbar and he says, the books of Maqtal say that he struck a spear into the chest of Ali Akbar with such force that Ali Akbar fell from the horse onto the ground. Now they all approach Ali Akbar. Whoever had a spear in his hand, he struck the body of Ali Akbar. Whoever had a sword struck the body of Ali Akbar. Whoever had stones struck the body. The body of Ali Akbar was cut to pieces. He cries out, Ya Abata alaykum minni salam, oh my father, accept my final salams. Abu Abdullah rushes out. Now some say that he began to crawl, some say he fell, some say he stumbled, some say, but however he reached the body of Ali Akbar, he found that there was a lady sitting there wearing hijab at the head of Ali Akbar, crying and doing matam. Hussein looks towards her, he says, Zainab, go back to the tents. He takes his abba, he places it over the head of Hazrat Zainab and takes her back to the tents. When I read this, I thought, Ya Abu Abdullah, Zainab had her hijab on. No one had taken her hijab, but yet you still put your abba over her and then took her to the tents. You forgot about your son. For you, more important was the hijab of Zainab. But Ya Abu Abdullah, come to Asri Ashur after your head has been raised on the spear. Now Zainab is going from tent to tent saying, Wa hijaba, Wa Husayna. She is going from Kufa to Sham, requesting only one thing, that, oh people, if there is a piece of cloth, give it to me so that I can cover my head.
I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins. I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive the sins of our parents. Oh Allah, those of our parents that are alive, give them long lives. Those of our parents that have left this world, give them a place next to Ali Muhammad in Jannah. Oh Allah, those who are ill, give them shifa'ah. Oh Allah, those who are in debt, clear their debts. Oh Allah, keep our ulama and our maraji at the head of our institutions. Oh Allah, give them long lives and keep them safe. Allah, hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time. Allow us to be amongst his true muntadhireen, his true awaiters, for the acceptance of these du'as and any other du'as that the brothers and sisters have brought to the Majalis. Please recite 3 loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.